Hey guys, welcome to the 10K live stream Q&A. Got to give it a few minutes for you guys to start trickling in, but let me know when you're in the house so I can kind of start reading some of these questions. But I hope you guys are all doing good today. Let me know how the audio is as soon as possible, because when you're in the house so I can... How is the audio for you guys? It's not giving me the chat feed yet. But does the audio sound... Is the volume high enough? Is it clear for the most part? I know it's probably not perfect. There's probably a little bit of a background hiss, which is okay. I'm fine with that, but... Is anybody here? There we go. Alright, so... Saying it's fine. Good. It's very good to know. What is up, Mark? What's up, Tomb Raider? Brave Digger? Diz? Nice. So, after a few more people trickle in here, hopefully YouTube shows some people. But once I get a few more people in here, I'm going to start off by reading the Patreon questions first. I posted up on the Patreon a few weeks ago asking them what their questions were, and I'm giving them priority because, you know, they're the patrons. They're the Ghost Pirate Army. So all of you guys matter to me, and I'm just... It's amazing that you guys got us to the 10K mark, but the patrons really just, you know, giving your money to help physically support this is huge for me. So, like, it just means a lot. But you guys all mean a lot, so I don't want to come off that way. But anyway, so that's what they're going to get, is me reading their questions first. So... I ended up doing a live stream last night for a couple hours. I wasn't planning on it at all, but I was just trying to test out, make sure everything looked okay, and that I had this up and running. And then people started asking questions, and I was just like, fuck it. And so I just rolled with it. But hopefully we can get, you know, a decent little crowd again here today. I was trying to do, like, it ended up being that was the evening one, and then this is more of the AM one. But I wanted one that's, it's like in the afternoon here on the West Coast, but a little more in the evening for the East Coast. So that between the two, last night and today, hopefully everybody can kind of get their questions in. So start getting your questions, start thinking of some questions for me, because I want to try to get to everybody's questions if possible. What's up, Requiem? Requiem remembers. Artemis in the house. Alright. It's 11 p.m. there. Are you overseas or in the UK? Yeah, see, that's what I meant. Like, on the East Coast, it was more evening, whereas it's in the afternoon here on the West Coast. So I was just trying between... What's up, Josh? Between both yesterday and today, hoping to try to get everybody a chance to get in on this celebration of the 10K. It really is a big deal. Not everybody realizes how much of a big deal that is, but for me, it especially. What's up, Mark? All right, so I'm going to get started by reading these questions from the Patreon members first. If you want to know about becoming a member of the Patreon, it starts as little as $1, And I'm trying to do more things there. I want to eventually do more like live exclusive hangouts and behind the scenes stuff. But for the most part now, you definitely get early videos. All my videos, all the list ones drop at least a few days early on there. And I do a lot of test things there. Like I'll ask them questions first and things like that. But if you're interested in becoming a Patreon member, part of the Ghost Pirate Army, go over to patreon.com/Ghost Pirate Entertainment. So, and like I said, you can start out for $1 or whatever you really are comfortable with doing monthly. But I'm going to start off with Julie's. Her question was, do you have any horror tattoos? And yes, I do. It's kind of hard to show on camera. Basically, it's just an outline. Let's see if you guys can see if I do it this way. But it's so faint, you can barely even see what it is. I don't know if you guys can see at all what that is, but it's an outline of a bunch of different horror icons. There's the Wolfman, there's Freddy, Jason, Michael, Pinhead, there is Chucky, there's Creature in the Black Lagoon, Dracula, Frankenstein. I think that's it, but it's an outline of all of their faces, like a collage. And unfortunately, it was years and years ago. But unfortunately, the guy that was doing it got in some legal trouble, and I just wasn't comfortable with having him work on me anymore. And so I just ended up never getting it finished. I haven't had the money really to because something like that, it needs to be a black and gray portrait. It costs a lot of money, and I just don't got that kind of dough. So someday, it's one of my bucket list dreams is to get that tattoo finished. So because I really wanted to have this entire leg, my whole right leg, just covered in horror iconic imagery. So, but yeah, so not really yes and no. All right, next question is from Tiffany Evans. What made you decide to start your channel? So the story of that is, I was an artist, did visual medium artist. I first started out doing music for years and years and years. I was a singer of a metal band. And then I eventually started doing visual medium art, painting, sculpture, modern art, stuff like that. If you want to see my art, go over to Instagram, Kainan Becker Kainan Becker on Instagram, and you can see my artwork. But anyway, I did art for a long time. I was teaching art and selling art. And then lockdown hit, and I wasn't able to teach anymore, and all my art shows, everything just immediately just bottomed out. And then in my health, I started having these really bad problems with my stomach, and I was just literally throwing up all the time, every single day. I couldn't get out of bed. It was just miserable. But I still needed to be doing something. I still needed to be creating. I couldn't just lay there watching movies and playing video games. I had to do something. But I was bored out of my mind, so of course I was trying to watch movies. I was watching horror movies like I always have, and I would just spend hours and hours scrolling through all the streaming services trying to find something to watch. And every time I would find something, I would just be so excited. I'm just like, yes, I found something. And I would want to share it, but I didn't really have anyone to share it with because it's lockdown. And so I got the idea of, hey, I'll just start posting some videos. Like, it really started with just a Tubi video, and I was like, hey guys, I watched and I found Tubi, and there's actually a ton of great horror movies on there. You guys should check these out. And then I loved it so much, and I was so passionate about it, and I actually had immediate response from quite a few people, and I was just like, this is awesome. I could be like the TV guide for horror. I could share all these horror movies with people, because there isn't really anything that does that on a weekly basis of giving us things to watch. And it'll help save people money and time. It helps spread the word about some indie movies and stuff that not everybody knows about. And so that was the birth of it. The next question comes from Amanda Glenn. What age were you when you first started watching horror movies or saw your first horror film? I think I was pretty young. My sister said we watched the It miniseries back when I was pretty young, like when it first televised. I honestly don't remember that. I have blocked out most of my childhood. I don't remember much of anything from before I was like 17, 18. But the first one I really remember is Jurassic Park, and that's kind of not exactly horror, but close. And then the first full-fledged horror movie was when I was about 17. I had flown down to San Diego, where a bunch of my family lives, and I was staying at my aunt's house. And it was like one of my first adult type of things where I'm out by myself, totally another different city and like all that. And so already it was kind of just this wow moment, like this really kind of cool thing. And she had a whole bunch of these VHS tapes. And so I went and grabbed one out. It said Stephen King, and I knew that he had done some really great books. I don't think I had read any at the time. I'm not really sure. But either way, so I watched Pet Sematary, the original early 90s movie, Pet Sematary, and it scared the bejesus out of me. But there was something about it, the visuals, just the way it made me feel, that even though it scared me to death, I just was immediately addicted, immediately hooked, and I knew that was a part of me. Horror was always going to be a part of me. So the next question is from Cindy Ward. What is your guilty pleasure horror movie? For a long time, I think I had ones that I felt were a guilty pleasure, but over the years, I've gotten where I don't really think of that. I don't really think of it that way, because I feel like you shouldn't feel guilty for any horror movie you enjoy. The closest I would say would probably be like 13 Ghosts, House on Haunted Hill, those early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s horror movies that are not the greatest, but they're still a lot of fun to watch. But I really don't feel like it should be anyone's guilty pleasure, because if you're there having a good time, there ain't nothing wrong with that. Like, there's nothing to be embarrassed about it. It doesn't matter. Like, horror is entertainment. It's there to enjoy on whatever level, whatever elements about it you're enjoying it. That's all okay. And people really need to be more accepting of that. Let's see. The next question is, with the YouTube market flooded with horror content creators, what was your inspiration on bringing something new to the platform that others were not tapping into at the time? Like I said, it was recommendations. People will recommend a movie from time to time, and everybody does movie reviews, but I felt like there at least wasn't enough of anything that I could count on a regular basis, every week, seeing someone like an old school TV guy. Like back in the day, there would be shows like, I'm blanking out. Like movie review channels, but they would show multiple movies and talk about multiple movies. And it was kind of like a recommendation. It was like a TV guide thing. And it helped you know if it was for you or not. But they would give you, a list of 5, 10, whatever movies. And so I felt like no one was feeling that enough. And it was never about me feeling like, oh, I can get famous or I can make a bunch of money doing this. I've always felt from the very beginning it was a public service. It was just me wanting to find my way to help people, to help this community that I feel is like my family. Like we all have this thing in common. So the next question is from Kevin Schmidt. And he said, what made you start a YouTube channel on horror movies? There was really never any question. If I was going to talk about movies, it had to be horror. I'd say 99 out of 100 movies, if not more, that I watch are horror. Everything I watch is horror related in one way or another, or at least connected in some way. I do love sci-fi, but I enjoy the stuff that's more horror related in the sci-fi world. Like, I just feel like horror goes for it way harder than any other genre. It attacks it, and it has all these different layers to it, and it goes in so many different directions that other movies are always afraid to go. It's not just about scaring you. It's about creativity and just so many things that I love it. And it's only horror. That's the only option I would have if I was going to do anything about movies. All right, so I believe that's it for the Patreon questions. So let me go in here and look for some of your guys' questions. Sorry I haven't been talking to you guys, so let me go back. You're such a professional. Thank you, Artemis. Let's see. I love the latest Tubi recommendations. Great list. Thank you so much. Hey, Ghost. I love the reviews. Thank you very much. Mark, Tubi TV is awesome. Yeah, Tubi is the best, especially considering it's completely free. We need to start a tattoo fund. You guys are more than welcome to start a tattoo fund. any donations you guys want to make towards the tattoo, that would be rad. Or if any artists out there want to do some ink, and I'll give you a shout out. I'd love to get a tattoo from someone connected in this channel in some way. Also, if you guys want to hit me up with some birthday love, my birthday is this Saturday, so I'd love any happy birthdays from you guys. It's kind of like, that was sad, but I don't have a lot of people to tell me happy birthday. You guys are my family. Question for later. What is your favorite movie? Even something you can't review on. My favorite movie is Phantasm, without a doubt. I just love everything about it. The style, the way it feels. I love that it's a movie I can rewatch hundreds of times and still always be captivated and interested in everything from the acting style to the music to the way it's shot. I love Tall Man. There's just so much creativity and uniqueness to it. It's not for everyone, I get it, but for me, it feels like a dream, and it's just the most creative, unique movie, and so it'll always have that spot. It's not what I consider to be the best movie, though. The best horror movie, I would say, is The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing. But my favorite horror movie is definitely Phantasm. Let's see. Uncovering horror gems that I have never seen before. Awesome. I'd love to hear that. I do look at older movies. TV guide for horror. That's dating yourself, media. Yeah, but I mean, I did. I grew up with TV Guide. I remember when it was always in the grocery store, and people would just kind of automatically get it every time you'd go grocery shopping. Let's see. Love the show. You are my horror Bible. I found a found footage fan VHS series. Love the VHS series. What's your take on them? P.S. Werewolves rule. Yep, werewolves, of all the creature feature type of movies, werewolves are definitely my favorite. Let's see. Memories. Finally caught you live. Welcome, everybody. If I didn't say your name, and Tiago and Angela, I welcome all you guys. Let's see. Do you have a comfort horror movie? Probably my favorite comfort horror movie is, it's either my brain just totally went blank. It's either The Fog, John Carpenter's The Fog, the 1980s one. The early 2000s one is absolute fucking trash. Horrible movie. Horrible, horrible, horrible movie that feels like it should be erased from existence. So it's either The Fog or Salem's Lot or, like I said, Phantasm. All three of those. Oh, and the original Wolfman. And the original The Mummy. I've rewatched those movies before bed thousands of times. Let's see. Ever watch anime like Corpse Party? And Tiago, I have such a limited amount of time and headspace for things, but I've had so many people over the last few years tell me I need to watch anime more, and one of these days I would love to watch more of it. I think once I can go full-time as a creator, which is a goal of mine in about a year to go full-time on this, then I would like to dip my toe into that, just like foreign horror. But it's like a whole thing that I want to tackle. I don't want to just kind of do one here and there. I want to really dive into that, do a video deep diving about that and my journey into that, things like that. But Graveyard Shift. See, have you seen the 80s horror movie Rawhead Rex? Yes and no. I've started that movie numerous times and was really digging the way the movie was going, but for literally 1,000 different reasons, I've never been able to finish watching it. But that is one for this upcoming Shudder list that I'm going to watch. I'm going to watch that, and it'll be on this list because I know it's a great classic. And Clive Barker only directed, I think, 4 movies, and that's one of them. I believe he directed that one. Anyway, it's definitely a must, and it will be done by the time my next Shudder list comes out, which will be in a few weeks. My comfort horror is Friday the 13th, totally. Love the Friday the 13th movies, but especially the first couple. I appreciate the recommendations. As Above, So Below. Fantastic movie. Love that movie. Except it's little so for me. And Lost Boys. Lost Boys, love the Lost Boys. Such a fantastic movie. I talked at length about that in last night's live stream. It's up now if you want to go and check that out at some point as well. I love your channel. seen many of your recommendations, but every time you give a list, I write it down to check the ones I haven't seen. Horror is my favorite genre. Thank you for your work. You are very welcome. I appreciate you guys for paying attention to what I'm doing. Because without you guys, it would be nothing, you know? Most overrated horror movie or movies. Most overrated. I would probably say let's see. That's a tough question. The most overrated horror movies. Probably I was blanking on the name. Oh man, hold on a second. My brain is totally blinking. It's one of those things when I think of it, I'm going to kick myself. It's the James one. It's, The Conjuring universe. Because as much as I love the first Conjuring movie and the second Conjuring movie, besides those, I'm not a big fan of almost any of the other stuff. And it's just gotten so played out. The third one was really a slog to me. That whole thing is just way overdone. And it feels like someone recently I heard say that it's like Walmart horror. And that's how I feel. It feels like Walmart horror. It doesn't feel like legit, real horror. Part of it is they're almost all PG-13, but I don't know. It's just very commercialized feeling at this point. So that would probably be what I would consider the most overrated horror movies. And I'm not saying they're not enjoyable, but just as far as you asked, overrated. They're not trash, but the most overrated. Let's see. Yeah, Reggie is the best. Diz said, Phantasm was the first horror movie that I watched. Nice. Happy birthday. Thank you very much. Question, have you seen the movie Medusa Touch? No, I haven't. I'll definitely give that one a look at one point. I'll add that to my list when I get a chance. The evil themes. Yeah, I'm always down to weird, witchy, evil, demonic. You know, especially I love 70s demonic stuff. We always fought over the TV guy growing up. Yep. What classic horror actor would you direct? Chaney, Karloff, or Price? Price. I love all three of them. Absolutely love all three. But man, Vincent Price he's so iconic. I love him. He's one of the few actors that you could have in a movie like Last Man on Earth, where he's pretty much the only actor in that movie and just carries it for the majority of the movie. He's just phenomenal. He had just such an amazing on-camera presence. What do you think about the new sequels that will come soon from The Exorcist? I was more excited for them and optimistic before I saw this most recent Halloween Ends. I was really disappointed at Halloween Ends. And so I worry that with The Exorcist, he's going to try to get too cute. They're just going to, because I don't know if you know, but it's the same guys that did the most recent Halloween movies that are doing The Exorcist. And I just feel like, yes, that franchise lends itself a little more to being a little more introspective and a little more deep and all of that and philosophical and whatnot. So it might work better there. I don't doubt that the visuals of them is going to be really good and the polish and all of that. But I just feel like, I don't know. I do think that it has a better chance because they're going in making 3 from the jump. Whereas with Halloween, I swear, they were always planning on making 1. And the other 2 at most should have been combined one movie. Like, it just feels like they did not know a good direction to go with those because the writing is trash in those movies in a lot of ways. It just doesn't feel cohesive. I went on and on and on about it in the Halloween Ends review, but yeah, so I'm definitely going to watch them, and I'm hoping that they're great, but I'm, a little nervous that the Exorcist movies are going to be good, especially because they're supposed to come out in October, and that just feels a little bit quick. I'm a toy designer for Super 7, and I'm just curious about your favorite horror collectibles and what collectibles would be a dream to have in your collection. Phantasm. Like, I don't know why, but no one's ever made some really great Phantasm figures, at least not commercially available ones that are pretty easy to find, especially tall, man. Whenever you find any, they're just insane amounts of money. And yeah, like I have my Phantasm car, my die-cast Cuda, but other than that, like I have almost nothing with Phantasm. I have this custom-made cup right here that was a gift for my 1,000 subscribers that my sister had made for me. On the back here, it has the logo and it says first 1,000 subs. So that was the gift she gave me like a year or so ago when I hit my first 1,000. But yeah, I would love to see more Phantasm figures of anything really Phantasm collectible wise. That was legit. Corpse Party is only 4 episodes long. Okay, then maybe that'll be where I'll start with the Corpse Party. I know I've heard multiple people talk about that one as something I need to see. What's up, Nick? Nick Snedden is one of my patrons. What's up, Tim Lodge? Oh yeah, Deep Red is a fantastic movie. Profondo, I don't think I've seen that one. Memories of Violet. Have you seen Night of the Comet? Love, love, love Night of the Comet. Such a great movie. And they just added it, I think, to Shudder, I believe. Yeah, they just added it to Shudder. Oh yeah, you say that right here. You just added it to Shudder. Pure 80s magic. It is, or nostalgia, so good. The Invitation. Which Invitation? The Invitation, the new one, was pretty trash. But the one a few years ago, fantastic movie. Texas Chainsaw Massacre original is the most overrated. No way. No way. Like, I respect your opinion, and I'm sure you have your reasons, but the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre is much hype and everything that goes into it. If you really dig into that movie and the story behind that movie and the nuances of that movie and think about when it was made and everything else that was being made around it, Texas Chainsaw Massacre is an amazing, amazing accomplishment. For me, the most overrated horror movie is The Exorcist. I've never been a huge Exorcist fan. I just haven't. I'm a little too young, I think, for hitting that hype, because by the time I finally saw it, you know, I was like in my late teens, early 20s, and it just has never done it for me. I like the movie, but it's never like blown me away. I do respect it and really respect what it did for the horror franchise, but I've never been a huge Exorcist fan. But I do understand why it has so much love and hype around it. I don't know if I'd say it's overhyped or not, but I do kind of understand. I've always said, and a lot of people hate this opinion, but I actually enjoy The Exorcist 3 much more than the original. I think The Exorcist 3 was an amazing movie. So much more entertaining and enjoyable for me than the original Exorcist. But that's not to say The Exorcist isn't a good movie. I'm not saying that. Walmart horror. I liked Conjure 1 and 2. Okay, the rest of the universe is pretty bland, yeah. Best movie has to be The Evil Dead. Love, love, love the Evil Dead movies. All of them. Knew it. Has to be price requirement. Yo, Kainan. What's up, Blue Bayou? Saw Bruce Campbell on tour. I met Bruce Campbell in a bathroom of a Sinister Creature Con thing here a couple years ago. On the same day that I met David Howard Thornton. Very weird. Let's see. Greed. Love Reanimator. All right. Any questions? I'm here to answer whatever questions you guys have. So, have you seen Super Hybrid? It's a pretty good. No, I have not seen Super Hybrid. Huh? Never even heard of that. Rob Dubeck. That's so weird. I've never even heard of that movie. Another vote for the Medusa Touch. All right. I'll need to look into that. Oh yeah, that's right. Profondo Rosso is Deep Red. It's the Italian name for it. So we can agree to disagree. Definitely. I'm not saying your opinion's trash about Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I'm just telling you that I disagree, and that's why. I totally respect anybody's opinion because everybody has their own perspective and their own reasons, and it's all subjective. You know what I mean? Like everybody's a different person. I hate this idea that now so many people have of like that everybody has to agree with them. And like just because I have a YouTube channel doesn't mean you got to agree with me at all. Like I'm not right or wrong about things. It's just my opinion on things. Let's see. Not enough can be said about the original Chainsaw. But notice how much screaming goes on in the last half. Nothing but screaming. It's the best, and I'm pretty close to the film location. So, let's see. No judge here. I don't care for The Shining, and a lot of people give it shit for me. I really appreciate The Shining, but I'm not gonna lie. That movie, in a lot of ways, bores me. I do appreciate it, and I remember the first time I saw it, was engrossed in it, but it's a long, slow movie that is definitely not everybody's cup of tea, especially if you're younger. See, Nick said Blair Witch is the most overrated, and I get where you're coming from with that. A lot of people see it that way. For me, I got caught up in all of what it was. It's so much more than just that movie. Because if you're my age and you were a teenager when that was released and all the internet hype going on behind it, we really, truly believed that these were real people and this is a real thing. And it was fun to believe in. And I think if anybody had really questioned it, we would have been like, yeah, it's probably not real. You can't show us a movie, people really dying, going missing, whatever. But it was fun to get caught up in all of that. And it was different than anything you had ever seen really to that point. And that's what made Blair Witch so amazing. It's not that the movie, now if you're a young person watching it, it's obviously not going to get you the same way. Because of so many other movies that have done the same thing better now. But for the time when it came out, man, Blair Witch was amazing. Dawn of the Dead. Yeah, Dawn of the Dead is an amazing, amazing movie. 3 is best. Skimmer. I need to check that out, Skinmerick. It's supposed to drop on Shudder soon, I believe. Johnny Come Lately? Yeah, Johnny Come Lately. I know I've been hearing great things about, I don't even know how to pronounce it, but Skinmerick is the name of the movie. Yeah, I know I've heard a lot of things about it. I don't know if it's coming to theaters or what. It says it will be seen. Oh, theatrically comes out in January. All right, nice. I just know I've been hearing a lot of buzz about it. Blair Witch bored you? Yeah, I get it. I totally get it. Love the Puppet Master movies. Let's see. Do you ever feel like watching horror all the time starts to bring you down, depressed? No, I don't ever feel depressed because I change it up. Because the horror genre is so wide. If I only watch a certain type of horror, then yes, it very much will get to me. But I mix it up. If you notice, every one on my list is like a variety of things. So there may be one movie that's a kind of downer and a deep introspective kind of thing, and maybe even almost depressing. But then there's going to be another movie that's just fun, balls to the wall, bonkers, popcorn horror. Everything is mixed together, and that's purposely done on my list. I try to mix it up that way, because if you watch too much of any one thing, it's going to get to you. It's like if you watch Bones and All, and then another movie like that, you watch Starfish after Bones and All, and so on. It's going to get to you, and you start feeling down and whatever. You got to always mix it together, and that's why I can watch nothing but horror all the time, all day, every day kind of thing. Because I'm always watching something horror related. I'm either studying things to do with horror, watching documentaries about it, watching other YouTube channels about it, or whatever. But it's because it's such a variety of things that I'm ingesting. What's your most anticipated 2023? Cocaine Bear has got to be up there. The one I'm the most looking forward to right now though is oh man, what's the name of it? I'm blanking on it. It's not Whirlpool. It's damn it. It's the new Cronenberg. It's the new his son Brandon. It's the new Brandon Cronenberg movie. It's something Pool. Brandon. Oh, guys, I'm trying to remember the name of it. But he has a new movie coming out. It's called Infinity Pool, I think. Let's see if it's yeah, Infinity Pool. I'm really excited about that because I've seen Possessor. It was one of my absolute favorite movies from 2020, and then I went and I went back and watched Antiviral, which is another brilliant movie that's on Tubi. I did recommend it a couple videos ago, but another fantastic movie. I love David Cronenberg, his dad, and I love that Brandon Cronenberg is doing something different, but it's still very, very Cronenberg-esque. I'm really excited for that movie, but I am through the roof excited for Cocaine Bear as well. I even have the poster that's going to go behind me in the next week or so. Right now, I have, if you see, I have Christmas Bloody Christmas. See, the glare is kind of making it hard to see, but yeah, I'm going to see I'm going to see that movie tonight, and then I'm going to hopefully have a review up for you guys tomorrow at some point. But it's really cool because that movie was filmed basically just right by where I work, right where I live. Like, I really enjoyed the first Centipede. After that, I felt like they were just trying to gross you out. They were just trying to see how far they could go and freak people out. And I'm not a huge fan of that kind of thing. Like, for me, it's about the story. It's about what the creativity is, what they're trying to do. If you're just trying to be gore porn or you're just trying to be as disgusting as you can possibly be, then it's just like, okay, that's cool, whatever. But it's got to have a point. And I felt like, yeah, the first Human Centipede I actually really enjoyed. And yes, it got me at the time, especially at the time, but I really appreciate what it was doing and it felt unique. What do you really feel about it? I really enjoy found footage, but it's got to be the right found footage. I don't enjoy them all, but some found footage movies are just awesome. To me, it's like any other subgenre of horror. There's great ones, there's okay ones, and there's not the greatest ones. So, some of them are entertaining, some are not. There are no bad horror. Exactly. There's no bad horror opinions, and there's really no bad horror movies, really. It's like, if you're enjoying something about it, the only bad horror movie to me is if it's boring. If there's nothing to it, it just bores you, then that is where it starts to get into kind of a bad area. Because at least if it's tickling your brain in some way, shape, or form, or tripping you out in some way, shape, or form, it's affecting you in some way, shape, or form, then it's not bad. Because in the end of the day, movies are meant to be entertainment. Do you have any info on the... No, I'm still waiting on the new Salem's Lot. It's totally just silent right now. My friend Boogeyman Ben, he's got his own channel, Boogeyman Ben. Definitely go check him out. He has got his finger on the pulse. Any news that drops, he is on it immediately. He's very, very invested and done a bunch of videos on the new Salem's Lot. And he's my best source for it. And as far as I know, he's still got nothing either. I'm not hearing anything, and I'm just praying that it doesn't get just trashed, because I know it's done, and I know it tested pretty well, but for some reason, there's been no word recently on when it's coming out or what's going on with it, and that really sucks, because that's one of my most anticipated movies for sure of this next year. Dr. Sleep was boring as hell. I really enjoyed Dr. Sleep, but once again, it's all like an opinion thing. I love slow burns, especially if there's a payoff and there's a point and it's bringing you slowly to this crescendo or whatever. Yeah, I really appreciate Dr. Sleep, but just like The Shining, I get it's not for everyone. I thought it was fast zombie or slow zombie movies. Probably fast zombie movies, but I really appreciate and enjoy what was done in the beginning with zombies as well. There's more of a slow dread kind of feel with the slow movie zombies, whereas the fast movie zombies, it's just this attack and this violence to it. So they both kind of have their cool factor to them. But if I had my druthers, I'd probably pick fast movie zombies. Yes, everybody, please hit the like button. That always helps very much. My dad was an extra zombie in what? That's crazy. He was an extra in Dawn of the Dead. That's super dope. Have you heard anything about the mean one? I've been dying to see it. I don't know why it's not playing in any theater near me right now, and I really want to see it. David Howard Thornton plays the Grinch in it, and I know the last time I talked to him, he's really excited about it because he actually gets to talk in this role and really kind of show even more of his acting chops. I'm not expecting it to be like an amazing movie, but a fun movie, yeah. So I really want to see it. But as far as I know, it's not playing in any theaters near me, so I'm probably going to have to stream it, try to rent it or something. But yeah, I'll try to. I definitely want to try to get that figured out one way or another here soon. I don't know what that means. Meghan and Harry, that's the worst type of horror movie film. Let's see. Tim and Megan, the doll movie. I am super lost, guys. Yeah, my sister bought me this Krampus mask, and it goes on the set right, every Christmas. I love that mask. Who's gonna believe a talking head? Get a job in a sideshow. Best line, yeah, from Reanimator. I still need to check out Dashcam. I don't even know why I haven't watched it yet. It's on Hulu, and I keep planning to watch it and just have not checked that one off the list yet for some reason. Jeepers Creepers 4. Jeepers Creepers 4 was absolute trash. That probably is one of the few movies that I can honestly say was bad. I feel like it was a cash grab. I feel like there was no real heart at all put into that movie. It was just people trying to get a paycheck, which is great. I understand that. But I feel like there's other ways to make get a paycheck, try to have somebody with some passion involved, especially when it comes to the writing. I don't know. I did a whole review of that movie. Went on a full tangent over that movie. Not a fan at all. And I don't like to trash on movies because, you know, everybody's not trying to do a bad job per se. And creativity is so important in this world. But I can't help it, man. I hated that movie. Let's see. Humor, ghost. Okay, I hello, what's your favorite Deep Blue Sea movie? I haven't seen the most recent one. I heard it was actually really good. So I think the only one of the Deep Blue Sea movies I've seen is the first one, and I love it. It's one of my favorite shark movies ever. But I heard the second one was just, straight to DVD, not great. And then I did hear that the third one was actually pretty good. So one of these days I'll do, like in the summer, I usually do a Shark Week type of thing. So maybe this coming year I'll binge the Deep Blue Sea movies as my Shark Week deal. Didn't see it. Oh, okay. I get what you meant now, Tim. The Royals. Dashcam can be frustrating, but I liked it. Have you seen Pearl? Love Pearl. I did a review of Pearl and a review of X. Two of my absolute favorite movies this year. I'm not going to tell you what my top 10 are, but there's a good chance that one or both of those movies are in my top 10. Absolutely love those movies. And one of my most anticipated movies this next year will be Maxine. Although we don't know for sure yet that Maxine's going to be a 2023 release. I think it probably will, but 100% sure no. It could still come out like early 2024. But I will put out my most I plan to put out my most anticipated movies of 2023 in January. I usually each year put out a video like that. So I probably will, Ted. I love Ty West. I'm a huge fan of Ty West. I've recommended every one of his movies on the channel at one time or another. I loved your Jeepers Creepers review. I know, I've had a lot of people that are like, we enjoy when you hate movies the most. And I feel bad for trashing the latest Jeepers Creepers. I want my 2 hours back. Yes. That was one of the few movies that I almost walked out of. But then I was like, you know what? I'm going to review this for the channel. I don't want anybody else to waste their money on this Jeepers Creepers movie. And so I want to tell you guys what's up. So I stuck it out and watched that whole damn movie. But I wrote notes with my light on my phone and everything. And no one in the theater cared because most people were throwing popcorn at the screen, booing. Like, I've never seen a crowd hate a movie more than that movie. Possession from 81, Should Be Afraid. Possession's a fantastic movie. It's the 81 version. Yeah, that's a fantastic movie. Film with Kara and Matthew Good. I don't know what... Does anybody know what movie Artemis is referring to? What's the name of the Christmas movie film with Kara and Matthew Good? I'm not sure what that is. It's because the main character was extremely annoying. Yeah, I've heard that Dashcam's good, but the main character is just horribly annoying. And that's probably part of why I haven't watched it yet, because I'm not a big fan of annoying stuff. But I know I'll still probably enjoy it, so I do want to check it out. Blame Studios, not the crew and actors. Yeah. I mean, it's 99 out of 100 times, yes, it's the studio. They're trying to just make money, and they hire people that are not qualified for the job. They rush them to try to do things they're not comfortable with doing. They put movies out way before they should a lot of the time. Like, I agree. Vast majority of time, it's the studio's fault. I want to see the mean one too. What are some of your favorite films that aren't horror? I'm a film fan. I watch mostly horror, but when I do watch other movies, it's generally sci-fi stuff or things that really make me think. Like, I loved Inception. I loved Interstellar. I loved the movie Fight Club. The Godfather and Goodfellas. I'm not a comedy fan. There's not a lot of comedies that I'm a big fan of. Mostly, and I'm not a huge. I grew up being a big action fan, but I'm not a huge action fan now. Although I do love the John Wick movies. But most of the time, if I'm watching something besides horror, it's got to be a real serious, introspective, brain teaser type of movie. Very like a mystery type of thing. I love stuff like that. Brave Digger, is that the film about the life-size doll? Silent Night. Oh, if that's the one I'm thinking of, that's actually really good. It's a really bloody Christmas movie, very violent, like a good old slasher. And I've always been surprised that movie doesn't get more love. But I didn't know that came out in 2021. But maybe I'm thinking of a different Silent Night. How do you feel, or how do you personally define horror? For example, do you consider Silence of the Lamb horror? I define horror as anything that disturbs you in one way or another. I feel like it is so subjective that it's up to you to decide for yourself what you consider horror. And it's not my job to be a gatekeeper and say, this is horror, that's not horror. For instance, pretty much on the channel, if I see something listed in horror on one of the streaming services, then I go with it. Like, a lot of people would not consider Black Swan a horror movie, but I know some people that do consider it a horror movie, so I covered it on the channel. It is disturbing. It does have horror elements about it. I don't know if it's straight up horror, but I don't feel like that's my job. It's one of my biggest pet peeves is these gatekeepers, is people that feel like it's their job to tell people what's horror and what's not, and I don't really understand that. Because I feel like instead we should just be much more open arms. Like, hey, if this movie freaks you out, gets to you, disturbs you in one way or another, and you label it horror, then by God, it's a horror movie. but it doesn't mean you have to feel like it's a horror movie, but allow other people to feel that way. So like Silence of the Lambs is not a quote unquote horror movie per se. It's kind of more of a thriller, like a crime thriller. But I do know a lot of people consider it a horror, and it did win an Academy Award, labeled as a horror movie. You know, it's definitely got a lot of horror elements about it. It's horror enough for me to be fine with it being a horror movie. I don't think that matters that much. You know, like I feel like horror and thriller are basically cousins, and they're kind of interchangeable in a lot of ways. Just like a lot of sci-fi leans into horror, like the original Terminator is very horror, but most people always consider it sci-fi, even though I think it's more horror than a lot of horror movies that people consider horror. Just like the first Alien, that movie is very horror, but I've heard a lot of people say that it's just sci-fi. I just don't really think that matters all that much. I feel like people get caught up on it too much. Thank you so much, Chris. I really appreciate that. I love that I can entertain people, and Goodfellas. Yeah, I love Goodfellas. It's a masterpiece movie. It's one of the best movies ever made. That Taylor Swift horror remix. No need to be nervous. I don't know what you mean. I don't know if I am nervous. I don't know what you're referring to. What Christmas horror movie do you recommend? If you want to know the answer to that, next week's video on Wednesday is my top 10 Christmas horror movies. Now keep in mind, they're not all what I consider to be the best or my favorite. They're a blend of the two. It's kind of what I do with my channel, period. Like all my list. It's a combination of what I think is the best movies and movies that I enjoy. So I take a little from kind of both categories and try to blend them together to make my recommendations. And so that's what this Christmas horror list is. It's the ones that I think are the best and that I enjoy the most. There's some that I enjoy a little bit more, but I know they're not as good as another movie, if that makes sense. So it might make the list. But yeah, 10 recommendations for Christmas horror movies coming up next Wednesday. So 10 a.m. is when the videos drop, Pacific Standard Time, every Wednesday. Let's see. Do you like straight sci-fi? I love sci-fi movies, but I generally prefer the ones that are tinging towards the side of horror. But, I mean, there's a lot of sci-fi movies I absolutely love that are not really horror at all. If I were to do, like, another type of channel, it would probably just be sci-fi, maybe. I don't know. That's why on the channel, it's horror, but there's always a mixture going to be of thrillers and sci-fi. There's always a mixture of those in there. Have you seen Mad God? Yes. I recommended Mad God literally like a couple days after it dropped on Shudder. It was on my Shudder list that week. It is brilliant. It is not really a movie, though. So, like, if you're wanting a movie with, like, a story and all of that, I don't know how much story is there. I'll just put it that way. But it is a visual masterpiece and is so unique and different than anything you've ever seen. If you've never seen Mad God, it is an absolute must. Like, that movie this year is a must, even though I don't think it'll be in my top 10. It's still a must watch. And the other movie that might not be in my top 10 but also is a must watch for horror fans is The Sadness. Just don't think neither of those are really great movies per se, but they're great experiences. And they're experiences that if you're a horror fan, I think you need to have. Even though I don't think they're like 10 or in my top 10 best, but it's also because this year is tough. There is so many amazing movies I've seen, and a lot of movies that nobody even talks about that are amazing that'll be in my top 10. Let's see. My God, but I thought it was pointless and stupid. It's all about the visuals. It's not about the story behind it. It's an experience. Yeah, the original Black Christmas predated. The original Black Christmas is sadly underrated. Always has been sadly underrated. I understand because of how iconic Michael Myers is and the mask and stuff that movie has become the more iconic one. But I honestly think Black Christmas is maybe a better movie. It is like I'm gonna talk about it next week because spoiler alert, it is in my top 10, of course, and I'll talk more at length about it. But it is just an absolute horror masterpiece that really deserves more attention. I live very close to the Buffalo Bill house. Whoa, that's tight. I appreciate that but I'd say Silence of the Lambs is horrific, but not much of a horror movie. Please find and watch Super Hybrid. Would love to hear your review. Rob, do you know where Super Hybrid is? Is it streaming somewhere? I suggest Sincero. And yeah, I saw that. I didn't think Sincero was horror at all, though, is it? I thought it was just straight up an action movie. Or Cicero or something like that. I'm not exactly sure how that's pronounced, Nick, but it's not strictly a horror film. However, there's a lot of horror elements in it. Highly. Okay, if there's horror elements in it, then I'll have to give it a look. Because I know I've heard it's a fantastic movie. Gnome named Gnome. Huh. Brave, it disturbed you as a kid? I don't know if I've ever even heard of that. Gnome named Gnome. It makes you think are better than the original The Thing. Although I do love the original The Thing from Outer Space. And it's not exactly a remake, John Carpenter's The Thing. But that would be one that's better than the original. There's a lot of them that I don't necessarily think are better than the original. But are different and equally as good in a lot of ways. Like, I know a lot of people would argue with me, but I think the 2013 Evil Dead is equally as good as the original. Better? No, and I don't even think you should compare them because they're very, very different movies. But I think the newer one was still absolutely savage, brilliant, and brutal, and took the basic premise, the same premise, and went a totally different direction as far as mood and style and pacing and all of that, but still had that same seed at the core. But off the top of my head, I can't think of any sequels really that are better than the original, but just some that are equal. I know there are. I know if I really thought about this enough, there's definitely a sequel out there that's better than the original. I can't think of off the top of my head right now. I agree, Brave. This is 2022, I think is the best year of horror movies, at least in my opinion, that I've ever in my lifetime experienced. Like, there are some years in the 80s that I've seen people consider to be equally as good or whatever, but I was too young to really remember those and see a lot of them in theaters and this and that. Whereas this year, I've seen just about every new horror movie. I've definitely seen all the bigger ones. Like, every single one that was in theaters, I've seen all of those. And it's just, I've been blown away by so many movies. Movies that weren't even in theaters, like Fresh. But that was an absolute masterpiece. So many great movies. Run, Sweetheart, Run was another badass movie that was on Amazon Prime. Like, absolutely amazing year for horror. Okay, it's on YouTube and Apple, so you have to rent it. The prologue in Evil Dead remake is absolutely brilliant. Agreed. I'm never impressed with Stephen King's movies. I enjoy the Stephen King movies, but I'm not a huge reader. I have really bad dyslexia, and I don't have good eyesight at all, so reading is always a major struggle for me. I do some audiobooks from time to time, and I would never argue that Stephen King books they're always better than the movies. But you could say that about almost every book to movie adaptation. You have to try to watch them as their own separate things. And I do enjoy Stephen King movies. but I'm not quite as blown away by a lot of them as other people are. I was pretty blown away by the original, like the first It though, the It from the most recent It. The second one wasn't as good. It was a little too long and it had issues. But the first one was, if you were to take and tone down the CGI just a little, that would be a modern masterpiece in my opinion. But yeah, I mean, I enjoy Stephen King movies, but I don't ever compare them to the books or try to argue that they're better than the books. The Mist and Shawshank Redemption. The Mist was fucking amazing. And even Stephen King said that he wishes he had thought of the ending that they went with in the movie. One of the most savage endings of any movie ever done. Let's see. And Shawshank Redemption is also another brilliant movie. I haven't read that book though, so I'm sure Dream Warrior. Yeah. You know what? I might have to agree that Dream Warrior is the best, is better than the original. It's at least, in my opinion, equal to the original Nightmare on Elm Street. The original Nightmare on Elm Street, though, is a little more scary and disturbing and all of that, especially if you were a kid at the time. Whereas 3 is still scary and creepy, but it does lean a little more into the humor side, so it isn't quite as terrifying, I think, as the original. But they're at least equally as good. But you might have a point there that Dream Warriors is the better of the two. Most underrated sequel. Exorcist 3 is up there, for sure. Exorcist 3 might be, like I said, I think it's better than the original. I enjoy it, Exorcist 3, more than I do the original. So that's definitely one of the best sequels ever made, for sure. Christine, I love the movie Christine, but I'm not going to argue that the book, I don't think I've read the book. I don't remember reading the book. Although I've forgotten a bunch of my life. Ooh, I loved Gerald's Game. Gerald's Game movie was incredible, but I haven't read that. In the Tall Grass was another one that I thought was an incredible movie, but I didn't read the book, so I know that's based on a short. So I can't argue with that. I just know that I loved both those movies. It's funny because both those were made for Netflix, and they're better than a lot of the theatrical release Stephen King adaptations. It's amazing to me. I think they have done better. I think that we're going to see some really great stuff in the future from Joe Hill movies, because I do think that his stories adapt better. I think he's better at being involved in writing scripts for movies than Stephen King. Stephen King has never been great at the movie side of things. He just isn't. Whenever he's tried to do it, it just never works out. Stand By Me is another great one, but I haven't read the book either. Hey Pirate, just tuned in from Australia. Hell yeah, Aussie, good to have you here. Let's see, I'm losing my place. Memories, Australia in the house. Hell yeah. 111 really scared me. Oh, Exorcist 111? I don't know what that is. 17 in the movie theater. Okay, I'm not exactly sure, Amy, what you're talking about with Exorcist 111. I don't know what that is. Okay, understand. Show. I've only read the books. I just did something weird. I don't even know what I did. I just thought, was the Firestarter remake like... I didn't think it was bad. People really hated on the Firestarter remake, but I didn't think it was bad. I was still entertained by it. I thought it had some elements that were cool. I wasn't a big fan of the CGI, and I didn't think it did anything really original or different enough. But I still thought it was an entertaining movie. I was really surprised at how much people absolutely hated that movie. And I don't know if a lot of it had to do with people comparing it to the book. I'm not sure. But I still thought it was an alright movie. It amazes me how much people hate it, though. Uh, oh, I love Horns. Horns is such a fantastic movie. It's on Tubi right now as well. Like, if you've never seen Joe Hill's movie Horns, you gotta. Daniel, I think it's Daniel Radcliffe. Such a fucking great movie. Green Mile, another great movie. If you're home, what is your favorite movie snack? My favorite movie snack is probably popcorn. Although I can't find them very often, but I love chocolate covered gummy bears. Which actually I feel like I might have to go to the mall and get some of those for my movie snack for later. But I love chocolate covered. Like they have these bigger cinnamon gummy bears that are chocolate covered that are super good. I love red vines, of course. I generally always get a pizza. I know some of you have seen me in the pictures and are like, "What? How do you get pizza at a movie?" But the theaters where I go, they have these Pizza Hut pizzas that are about yay big for like $10 or something like that, and I get those before almost every movie. But yeah, I mean, mostly it's just popcorn. You know, gotta have extra butter, salt, popcorn. Thank you so much, Antago. I'll take that as a happy birthday present from you, since my birthday is Saturday. Okay. The chat's moving on me. I'm trying to. Alright. I came upon this live stream by accident. Really? But Desiril, I thought Zetheril, I thought you've been on the channel before. Are you new to the channel? Definitely love Horns, both the movie and the book. Really? Is it was next time? Notice. Or, The Eyes of My Mother really surprised me and said see it. Are you talking about TL? Are you talking about didn't they just do a remake of that on Amazon Prime? The Eyes of My Mother. I heard that it's pointless to watch that and that the original is, it's like the same thing as the original, just not as good. Eyes of My Mother is a brilliant film. Back to Dashcam. I was so annoyed by the main character, I turned it off, but keep hearing it's great. Is it worth a try again? I hear the same thing, that the character is so annoying, but it's worth watching. So I'm going to have to watch that movie too. Just to say I appreciate it. Well, I appreciate you, and I appreciate your donation. Literally every single dollar makes an impact. I really, the money I'm making right now from the channel buys me food. Like I'm very, very poor, guys. I'm not a big YouTuber that buys cars and stuff. I just barely am able to scrape by from week to week. One movie I never hear about that started the road rage craze was Duel. Yeah, I've heard of Duel, but I've never seen it. I feel like, wasn't that a Steven Spielberg? I think that's a Steven Spielberg movie. Yeah, chicken strips are always a good move at the movies. I agree. Thank you so much for the happy birthday wishes, guys. I didn't realize you were having a live stream tonight. Yeah, it's celebrating 10K. I hit 10,000 subscribers on the channel last weekend. And I told everybody that once I hit that 10K mark, that we would do a live stream. I'm going to try to do one of these like once a month from now on. I'd love to hear from you guys what day and time you think would be the best. So I'll probably post a thing in the on the commentary page of the channel to try to figure out what the best time each month to do one of these would be. Have you seen? I love the menu. I did a review of it. Such a fantastic movie. It's a movie that's in the running for my top 10. That's how good I think the menu is. Fantastic movie. Sure if it's worth the 12 hours. Dude, the menu is outstanding. Like, it's a lot of fun, but it's also just a really well-made movie. I love it. Spielberg did a remake of Jaws, but with today's technology. Imagine the... Yeah, I don't know. So much of what makes Jaws amazing, though, is the lack of the CGI. It is the practical everything. And everybody now it's like they think to make this big blockbuster, they have to use a bunch of CGI, and nobody wants to go practical anymore. And even though the shark Bruce in Jaws is a little janky looking, I still think it holds up better than it would if it was a CGI looking, fake looking creature. And maybe that's just me, but I feel like we're starting to see filmmakers getting this balance where they're using CGI, but only to fill in the gaps. You're still seeing practical stuff, but the CGI just kind of smooths it out and gives it this real feel. But instead of, because CGI blood, and anytime they go heavy with the CGI, it just takes me out of movies way too much. Do you have a supernatural movie I really like? I just Surrogate, an Australian movie. It's an indie small movie, but if you like supernatural paranormal stuff, I think you should check that one out. But it's hard to say. There's so many good supernatural movies, but it's hard to say without knowing what you've seen. But yeah, I mean, like every week I post another list of movies, and there's generally a supernatural one on each one of those lists. What are your top 3 werewolf movies? Off the top of my head, top 3 werewolf movies. Oh man, off the top of my head, that's so hard to do. I'm never good at like the top things because I like so many different things, but for different reasons. But the first ones to pop to my brain are American Werewolf in London. Man, I don't know. I love The Wolfman for what it does. I love American Werewolf in London. I love Dog Soldiers. I really enjoyed Werewolves Within, Wolf of Snow Hollow. Those were amazing movies. This year, The Cursed is a really great werewolf movie that I still don't understand why people are not more on board with that movie. Whir is another amazing werewolf movie that not enough people talk about. Howl, which I just had on this list this week, is another fantastic werewolf movie. Man, there's so many. One of them I'm trying to think of. That's amazing. Oh, what can I think of? It's a foreign. Like, there's a couple really amazing foreign werewolf movies too. But yeah, I mean that is so hard because there's not enough, in my opinion, werewolf movies. But there are some really brilliant ones. Let's see. You once mentioned you played in a band. Yeah, I was a singer of a metal band for almost 20 years, and 3 different bands. A band called Mahala, another band called Graven Image, and then another band called Redlock. Mahala was the one that got the closest to really going. We almost had a record deal with Roadrunner and Metal Blade, but it just didn't quite happen. We were supposed to be on like Ozfest and do all that stuff back in the early 2000s, and then Graven Image did some great things as well. But yeah, I was a singer, and it was my first artistic big passion. It was my identity. It was what I really mattered the most for me. I'll be watching it from your last list. Teen Wolf 1 and 2. Love the Teen Wolf movies. Teen Wolf 2, though, I don't remember Teen Wolf 2 being worth recommending. I do love the first Teen Wolf. I just watched Hatching. Hatching was badass. That's another movie that is in consideration for my top 10 of this year. Like, Hatching is a movie people are sleeping on, and that's on Hulu. Fantastic foreign movie. Yep, Dog Soldiers is so good. Love that movie. You should check out Werewolf by Night. Oh, I loved Werewolf by Night. See, if Marvel did more stuff like that and Disney did more stuff like that, I would be all in. I loved Werewolf by Night. That was my type of comic book superhero type of thing. It was so awesome. Oh, The Howling. How did I not mention The Howling? Howling is phenomenal. Cursed, the one with Christina Ricci, Wes Craven. That's another great werewolf movie. Ginger Snaps, which I just recently had on the list again. I absolutely love Ginger Snaps. It's one of my favorite werewolf movies too. Like I can't just pick 3. This seems like it's going to be a cool community. Can't wait to do more in this. Yeah, and that's why I want to try to do one of these like once a month so that we can all hang out and get to know each other better and really make this a special thing. Wolf Cop was so much fun. Wolf fucking dick. Yeah. Mr. Man, welcome. Metal. Yeah. Dog Soldiers is excellent. It is Eden Lake. Eden Lake is a brutal movie. How does that not surprise me, Kainan, being in a metal band? Silver Bullet. That's one of my all-time favorites. See, I keep saying all of them, or that's one of my favorites. That's one of my favorites. I love that movie. Like, you just can't pick 3, man. Like, I love werewolf movies. Like I said, there's not enough of them, but there are some that are amazing. Haven't seen you at the AM PM in years. Did you move out of the Citrus Heights area? Yeah. Let's see. I've lived all over the place. Lived in Folsom for a while, then I moved over off of Watt in Sacramento. Now I'm out in Roseville. But I still work out in Folsom. Like I'm always moving, but I don't plan on moving again for quite a while. Although I do plan, once I can survive just on the channel in the next six months to a year, I want to do some traveling. I want to travel across country and meet some of you guys, go to conventions. I know some podcasters and people I'd love to meet in person and get to do cool projects with. And I got a lot of goals and plans, so hopefully I'm able to accomplish this stuff in the next year. I love Wolf Cop, and it's such a small budget movie, but that movie was so much fun. Wolf Cop 2 was a blast too. I didn't enjoy it as much as the first one, but still a fun movie. Yeah, I want to do a watch party, but I think I'm going to do the watch parties through the Patreon. It's pretty much, you can't really do them through YouTube unless you're using something that doesn't have, and even then it's a nightmare. Like one of my favorite YouTube channels, Dr. Wolfula, tries to do a live stream watch party, and it's just a nightmare. But I think I'm going to do watch parties coming up in the near future through the Patreon. So if you guys want to help support the channel and be a part of things like that, go to Ghost Pirate Entertainment on Patreon, and you can sign up for as little as $1. I don't really have tiers as far as you don't get this, you get this, you don't get that. Pretty much if you're a member of my Patreon, $1, $5, $10, $20, whatever you want to put towards helping the channel, I'm going to, have you as a part of the community. So, Harlem, welcome. East London representing, welcome. I have a really good friend that lives in London, or near London, I believe. He's got a great channel too. It's called, I just blinked on it. His name is Chris Tinsley, but he's got a YouTube channel called, why am I blinking on the name of the channel? Everything Fear. So if you guys enjoy horror content, definitely check out the Everything Fear channel as well. But he's from London, over the pond, as they say. Watch party would be dope. Yeah, that's the goal, is to have a Patreon watch party in the near future. I got to figure out how to do that. Yeah, Grim Life Collective is a great channel. Yeah, they have a watch party, but you don't get to see the movie. So they basically start a movie and they're watching it and you're just kind of watch it on your end. And that's cool. But I want to do the kind where, I have a movie playing and we're all in and you guys are chatting. You can hear me talking, quietly over the movie or whatever. But I have the movie so you guys can actually watch it. Because when you do them that way, you can watch anything and everything. And so like sometimes it might be a movie that I own on Blu-ray or whatnot, and you don't have to go rent it or try to find it streaming somewhere. So, plus I got to do some things that are just for the patrons, because they're giving me money. You know what I mean? Like I want to make it worth your time to be a member of the Patreon, because I don't feel like anybody has to give me shit, but I very much appreciate those that do. And so I want to do some special stuff just for the Ghost Pirate crew over there. So, or like I call them, the Ghost Pirate Army. Let's see. I'm sorry if I'm missing some of your guys' comments. It's kind of moving around. I'm trying to keep it from moving, but it's jumping around on me. Puerto Rico in the house. Creature horror movies are my drug of choice. I love creature feature movies. That's probably my favorite type. Werewolf and creature. I don't actually. My very favorite subgenre would have to be what do you call it? Outer space. Oh, why can't I think of what it's called? I'll think of it in a minute. Just subscribed. Nice. What do you mean you just subscribed? Nick, I thought you already were a member. Fear. Oh, just subscribe to everything. Fear. All right, nice, Nick. Thanks for giving my brother some support. Well, y'all, I love a watch party. I'll be there. Hell yeah. We're all headphones on and I'll start a show at the same time. Yeah. But you can't really hear the movie over it either if everybody's talking over headphones. I prefer the kind where everybody can type. So there's a stream, chat like this, and so you can talk on there, but you're still able to actually watch the movie. Don't have to answer. Are you married? I was married for a long time, and then got divorced from that marriage, and then I was in another really long relationship that ended a couple years ago, but now I am flying solo. I get pretty lonely at times, but I'm so into my work that I don't know. I kind of like to keep to myself because this work is so important to me at this point in my life right now. I don't know if I'll get married again down the road. Who knows? But at least right now I'm good with not being married. Anybody want to guess how old I'm turning on my birthday this Saturday? Has anyone ever seen Crazy as Hell, directed by... I have never seen that. Crazy as Hell? Huh. Speaking of your name, are there any great pirate horror movies? There is not. There needs to be... I don't understand why there is not a great pirate horror movie. I feel like you could easily make just the most savage, brutal pirate horror movie. It's a no-brainer to me. But if there is one, I'm not thinking of it, and I don't know of one because, like, there was that series a few years ago called, what was it called? Black Sails, and that series was phenomenal. And it had some really creepy horror elements, just like even Pirates of the Caribbean. There was parts that were horror in those, but no one's done a strictly horror pirate kind of movie. And I wish they would, because you could mix in all this amazing, like ocean creatures, like these fantastical creatures from the ocean, like, because you're gonna do a mythic type of story about pirates, not necessarily a real world one, but like a fantastic one. Anyway, I get goosebumps thinking about it. Someone out there needs to make one. Maybe if I'm able to be enough of success with this, I can do what I really want to do in my life, and that's help produce horror movies, and maybe I'll be able to help produce one someday. Aren't we all? Han Solo, Solo Wolf, you need an Elvira with you. That would be nice. I love Elvira. And I really love goth girls. But what do you think? The Wolf with Anthony Hopkins. I love the Wolf. The Wolf Man. there are elements of it that hold it back. Some of the CGI is pretty bad and not holding up super well. Anthony Hopkins' performance is pretty subpar at best, but I still love that movie. I love the look and feel of it. I still think it's a very fun movie. It's just sad because it had the potential to be the best werewolf movie hands down ever made, and it just fell short, and it is a shame. I feel like it is why we haven't got a lot of other werewolf movies. It's because they put a lot of money into that movie, and it just didn't make that money back, and that's just kind of how Hollywood works. Whereas like vampires, have made a lot of money, so they keep making vampire movies. 51? I look that old? Maybe I shouldn't have asked how old I look. I do love most of you guys, though. I love the ages that a lot of you guys are saying I am. You guys are definitely right around what my real age is. So, I was married about 6 years before it ended, and it's nice being alone at times. Yeah, I get lonely. The Fog is probably the closest to a pirate horror movie, but it still doesn't really feel like a pirate horror movie. But, I mean, I guess it is pirates that are doing the killing, but it just feels much more like a ghost movie, not a pirate movie, if that makes sense. Just about to say The Fog. Yeah, see, The Fog would be the closest. I love Mia Goth, man. Someone can get a girl that has the look and style of Mia Goth that's interested in me. All right, then I'll get married again. Nah, man, I don't have any particular type. I think women are just gorgeous. I love women that own who they are and, just be you. I don't know what that is. The Curse of Pirate Death. I've never heard of that. Is it a well-made? Oh, it's really, really bad. Yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about. A good. I know there are some stupid pirate horror movies, but I'm talking about a well-made pirate horror movie. I believe she's married with child. 40, I think you're younger than me. Some of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies could qualify as pirates horror, but that's what I'm saying. Like, they're very close. Like, there's definitely horror elements to the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, and that's why I know that it could really, really work. Like I said, the show Black Sails had some super horror elements. That series is incredible. Like, if you are a fan of pirates like I am, and of history and stuff, and you've never seen Black Sails, you really need to get on it and check that series out, because it is one of my all-time favorite series. I'll look for you, bro. All right, I appreciate that, Artemis. Okay, and you guys, how old are you? I'm 37. The Fog within a drum, bro. Yep, I love The Fog. Like I was saying earlier, The Fog is one of my creature comfort, so to speak, horror movies. I've watched that movie so many times at night before bed. Do you like Japanese horror? I do some. I mean, there's definitely, I love Audition, Itchy the Killer, but I haven't seen enough. It's just like all foreign horror. I've seen some, and I love a lot of what I have seen, but it's one of my weak spots, and a lot of it's because of my eyesight. I really struggle. It feels like work to watch a movie with subtitles, and so especially for this channel, if I'm writing notes and trying to read subtitles, I find myself having to pause every time I'm writing notes. So I just don't do a ton of them unless I hear a bunch of people raving about it and being like, this is a must, this is one you have to watch, and then I'll do one. But I just don't watch as many as I would like. Once I'm able to go more full time and hopefully have decent medical, I would like to get glasses maybe and be able to see better, and be able to do the subtitle game more so. I enjoy subtitles much more in theaters because then I can see the screen more and I can read. The subtitles are bigger. It's easier to read than I do on my little screen at home. But I do love a lot of foreign horror that I have seen. Dude, I want to go to a 48-hour party in Berlin. Take me with you. I'm not turning 50 next year, but I'm close enough. Let's go. Hey, Kanan, I think. Kanan, I think the subgenre you were thinking of might be. Yes, cosmic horror. Thank you. See, you know me. Yeah. Cosmic horror is my all time favorite horror subgenre. And then it would definitely be werewolves and creature features, kind of werewolf and creature features mixed together would be just slightly below, and oceanic horror. Because the same things I love about cosmic horror are what I love about oceanic horror. Just that mysterious mysteries of the unknown. That, like, besides horror movies, my other big passion is mysterious things, the unknown things. I don't necessarily believe a lot of it, but I love the stories behind it and the mythology behind it and the unknown element of it. Did you enjoy Paz de la Herita in Nurse? In Nurse? I'm not sure, Artemis. I know what movie you're referring to. The movie's just called Nurse? The Nurse. Why am I blinking on what movie you're talking about? I don't think I've seen it. Either that or my brain's blinking out, which is very possible. The remake was terrible. Remake of what? I'm lost. You guys are talking about something I don't know about. Foreign movies. I liked Shudder and Tales of Two Sisters. Yeah. I've been married for 20 years. I cannot complain. He doesn't complain to me about my 23 tarantulas. That's wild. You have 23 tarantulas? That's dope. I have 2 rats. Those are my pets. 2 little sweet girls. They're so adorable. I absolutely love my rats. Their names are Speckle. Sorry, I'm getting distracted by these comments. Anyway, my rats are named Speckle and Ash, or Ashley. You're more than welcome. Have about 40 people already coming. Damn, dude, that's wild. Yeah, unfortunately, I live all the way in the United States, and I highly doubt I could come with the money to fly to Berlin, but that is amazing, dude. I hope to do something like that on my 50th birthday. The Devil is a great Asian horror movie. Yeah, I've heard that I saw The Devil is fantastic. I've seen parts of that movie, but I don't think I've never watched it all the way. Yeah, I've heard a number of people talking about Housebound, Amy. It's on my list. It's one I plan to watch in the near future because it's on Tubi. You're one of the best. Keep up the good work, Pirate. Thank you so much. Yeah, I've been doing it more than this year, but this has really been the first real year where I've been doing this format and kind of have an idea of what I'm doing. Last year was a lot of just testing things and trying to figure out what I even wanted to do. Deep Star 6 and Leviathan are both awesome movies. See, that's what I mean by oceanic horror. I just love that type of horror movie. They're so much fun. Like Underwater from 2020 was incredible. One of my favorite recent horror movies. And one that still surprises me that more people don't give love to. I absolutely loved that movie. Personally, I congratulate because I have an excellent program. You are hand in hand in answering all the questions that your fan ask. Thank you very much, Moises. Horror in space and horror under the sea, both hand in hand. Yeah, exactly. They both have that same mysterious quality. Yeah, I saw The Devil's brilliant. What do you think about In the Mouth of Madness is one of my all-time favorite movies. Like that is a Kainan movie. That one and Event Horizon are just right there towards the very top of my movies all time. Like I just cannot express to you how much I love those type of movies. Those both have that cosmic horror thing that I'm talking about. That's why that's my favorite subgenre. There's not enough movies in that subgenre, but the ones that do exist that are good are incredible. Those movies are beyond belief great. You think for all your yes, thank you for all your. You're welcome. Hey, Ghost Pirate, is there any horror movies you've been unable to finish and straight up refuse to try and watch again? I don't think so. I generally watch everything because I find things that are worthwhile in just about every movie. I may not recommend every movie, and I don't necessarily enjoy every movie as a whole, but I find qualities about every movie enough that I pretty much never have a problem with finishing a movie. Sometimes I'll get bored and I'll just turn it off, because like part of my system for the channel, how I'm able to recommend all these movies and stuff, is I'll watch 20-30 minutes, and if it doesn't grab me, if it doesn't feel like something I'm going to want to recommend, then I'll just turn it off and go to the next movie. But it doesn't mean I hated it or I'll never go back to it again. It just means for whatever reason in that moment it's not grabbing me, and I don't have time to watch 2 hours of a movie and then be like, hey, I'm not going to recommend it. I don't have that kind of time. So instead I'll watch 20-30 minutes of it, kind of get an idea of the movie, the feel and flow. And then if it feels like something I'm going to want to recommend, then I'll keep watching it. Most of the time, if I finish it, I'll end up recommending it. Sometimes there are a few movies I've finished, but I'm like, well, it wasn't worth recommending, even though it was entertaining enough to watch. You know, maybe down the road I will recommend it if it kind of fits the feel of that list. Like every list there's kind of a style to it. Like I kind of, in my own weird way, have a system of the type of movies that are on each list. It isn't one type of thing per se, but I like to have a variety of things. So I try not to put too many of the same type of movie on each list, because I want to have something for everybody. Had to shut off the Serbian film. I just think the Serbian film was trash. It doesn't necessarily disturb me that much. I'm just like, whatever. It was just a shock value type of movie that it just isn't a good movie. It's just shocking, and that's why it gets so much, hype. But it's really not a good movie. Like, really, it's just not a good movie. Brave Digger, yeah, Serbian film, geez. I understand you are the, let's see. For sure, I love it. Martyrs was one of those movies that it definitely got to me a little bit. It's super brutal, but it's a beautiful movie that has a really interesting message and story to it. And so I definitely had no problem finishing that movie. It's not a rewatch per se. It's not a movie, unless I do like a full deep dive into it or something at some point. Not a movie I would rewatch, but it definitely had plenty of meat there to enjoy. Let's see. I finished Serbian film, but what's disgusting? Yeah, I mean, Serbian film is disgusting. But that's just the whole point. I feel like it's kind of a pointless movie. I love 80s movies too. I'm right there with you, Bosco. That's just silly. 976 Evil. Man, that is one that from the 80s, and I've heard so many people over the years talk about that as a great 80s horror movie that I need to see. And I don't know why, but I've never ever watched that. I just never see 976 Evil streaming. And a lot of what controls what I watch has to do with what's streaming, especially now, because if it's not streaming, I'm not going to really recommend it to you guys, because it sucks to recommend a movie that you can't watch. So if it's not in theaters and it's not streaming, I'm not going to recommend it usually, because I want you guys to be able to go watch it. That's the whole point of everything on this channel. I'm not just trying to entertain. I'm trying to inform you guys, to let you guys know and help you guys find things to watch. I haven't watched Martyrs or Serbian. Don't waste your time on Serbian film, but Martyrs is a tough watch, but it's a beautifully made, really powerful movie, but really hard to watch. I remember Extra was just pretty. I don't think I've seen Extra. That doesn't even sound familiar. The Platform is amazing. That's an amazing movie. It's not a hard to watch movie though, really, but an amazing movie. Is The Platform still on Netflix? I think it is. I need to do another Netflix list. It's just they don't add new horror movies very often, but the algorithm loves when I do Netflix ones. They show them to people much more than a lot of the other videos I do. It's just it's hard for me to do a list if it's like, well, I've already recommended these in the past on the channel, but I'm going to probably do a Netflix one in the near future anyway. Hopefully there's enough meat on that bone that I can find so that I'm not just repeating the same movies again. But The Platform is one I haven't recommended in a long time that is phenomenal. What actress would be good in a Whatever Happened to Baby Jane remake? Well, I mean, Mia Goth. Like, I kind of think she could be brilliant in almost anything, but you know what would be great in that role would be oh god damn it, what's her name? The actress that was in Ready or Not. Oh my god, I'm totally spacing her name. Do you guys know the actress that was in Ready or Not? You know who I'm thinking of? She would be great in Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. And that would be a great remake. That would be a smart movie to remake. Salou or the 120 Days of Sodom is whack. I don't know. I've never heard of that movie. It's only hard to watch if you can't stand watching people eat half-eaten food. Yeah, that is true. Because it is pretty gross. I didn't think of it in the same way. But yeah, it is pretty gross. Got to sign off. Keep up the great work. Thanks for joining, Ted. I agree. At one time, I was into the French New Extremist. Yeah, I mean, that's one thing about the French extremist movies, like them, Martyrs, is that, yes, they're brutal and gory, and you could almost say they're like gore porn, but at least they have a message, and they're beautifully made movies, and they're trying to say something. They're not just trying to shock you. I'm not a huge fan of those movies, though, because they're so extreme, and a lot of them, it just, it's a little too extreme even for me to enjoy. It doesn't mean I can't watch it, but I just don't really enjoy watching it, if that makes sense. I did enjoy Martyrs, though. I'm not going to lie. That movie, the ending, it's just so haunting, and like that mysterious quality of the way that movie ends, it really sticks with you in a way that I do feel like it's an enjoyable movie. Them is amazing. Love them. It is a French extremist. It is a little rough, but it's amazing. And another one is Raw. Raw is another one that some people, I don't know if it's full on French extremist, but I know it's been grouped in a little bit with that. And that movie is brilliant. Like, absolutely brilliant. It's an artsy kind of horror movie, and definitely a slow burn, but so brutal and beautiful at the same time. Just like Titane, which was the same filmmaker. I needed a therapy. Yeah, I can see needing therapy after watching Martyrs. She was awesome in Guns Akimbo. Yeah, why can't I remember her name? Did someone mention her name? She was in Guns Akimbo. Why can't I remember the actress's name? She's like literally one of my most favorite actresses working right now. But I'm totally blanking her name. I could just... Yeah, I'll just look it up on Google. And by the time I find it on here, you guys will be like, oh, it's so-and-so. Samara Weaving. She was amazing in another movie. What movie am I thinking of? She was great in in Mayhem as well. She was brilliant in Mayhem. She's just so awesome. Like she deserves more work. She's not getting, in as many movies as I feel like she deserves right now. Yeah, now someone says Samara Weaving. Yep. The French do make great stuff. Martyrs. It's just so artistically beautiful. Like even if it's brutal and savage and hard to watch at times, there's such a beauty to it that it makes it worth watching. Tension's one I've been needing to watch. I've heard, it's another one of those extremist ones, but I know it's one that I need to watch. Inside is another one that's beautifully done, but really, really, really brutal. Yeah, Them is based. It's based kind of loosely though. From the real story isn't quite the same, but still, it is based on true events, so to speak. What is Extra about? I'm still trying to figure out if I liked Nope. I really enjoyed Nope, but it's also one of those movies that I enjoyed more and more the more I thought about it. I love Dead Meat, the Dead Meat podcast. I don't know if you guys are all familiar with the Dead Meat channel, but they do a podcast every 2 weeks, and their deep dive into Nope really helped me understand all the nuances and the hidden meanings and messages and what Jordan Peele was really trying to say with the movie, because they have a lot of inside connections and they were able to kind of connect a lot of the dots and things that I didn't quite know how I felt or what to think of it, to the point where when I saw it the second time, I was like, I just absolutely love this movie because there's a whole nother layer, multiple layers to that movie that you just don't see on the first time you watch it. I don't care who you are. Like there's just so much there. Someone at YouTube channel had a thumbnail that spoiled Nope for me, but was fun to watch twice for details. It was in the ring. In the ring? In the most recent The Ring? Yeah, I can't wait for Cocaine Bear. It looks fantastic. I talked about it on my podcast. If you guys aren't all familiar with my podcast, I have a podcast now. It's the Ghost Pirate Podcast, and it's on all the podcasts, anywhere you find podcasts. And it's kind of like I talk about horror news and then just kind of whatever the hell is on the top of my head at the time. I'm having fun with it. It's still early in the process. Each episode's only about a half hour long. But I'm just trying to get my feet wet with it, and I'll kind of go deeper and deeper into it as I get more and more comfortable with that format. But I'd love to have more of you guys listening and giving me input on it. It just makes it a lot more fun. Oh, Extra was that alien movie. Okay, now it's starting to ring a bell. I still don't think I've seen it, but a good type of shit, if you know what I mean. Well, I liked Get Out, but Us was just pointless. I really enjoy all of Jordan Peele's movies, but for different reasons. The thing with Jordan Peele is, on the surface, there's just so much below the surface to his movies that make them much more enjoyable when you understand the whole message and everything that's actually there in his artistic vision. And that's why so many people appreciate him so much, is because there's so much depth to what he's trying to do with movies. Oh, thank you so much, L Train. Have you seen Australian crocodile horror movie Rogue? Rogue is fantastic. So is Black Water, which is another Australian crocodile horror movie that not nearly enough people talk about. But yeah, they're both fantastic. Remember that VHS box for Extra? I liked Us. I thought it was really creepy. Oh, I finally saw Tusk last week. It was weird since I used to live in... Yeah, I love Tusk. And recently, the word is that they're talking about making a sequel to Tusk. So that could be interesting. I'd love to see what they could do with that. You nailed it, Kainan, about Peel. Tusk was awesome. Rogue was good. All right, guys, I'm getting tired and I'm hungry. I got to go get some food before the movie starts because my movie starts in just a couple hours here. So, thank you so much for hanging out with me. Like, seriously, hitting that 10K is such an important milestone goal that I had set. And I didn't expect to hit it this year. And it just feels phenomenal, especially to hit it right before my birthday. It's one of those, like, a lot of things happening all at the same time that just shows you, like, when things are kind of meant to be. But you guys do feel like my family, and I feel like we're growing this thing that we can all be proud of. And it's about so much more than me. And it just means a lot to me. And I'm going to do this, like I said, once a month we'll do one of these live hangouts. I'll post them up a few weeks ahead of time on the community page. I post a lot of stuff on the community page, so definitely keep an eye on the community page if you want to know about any news or just whatever. It's kind of where I like to post. I don't post a ton on Twitter or anywhere else. I just mostly post here on YouTube on the community page. But anyway, I appreciate you guys all so much. Thank you very much for hanging out with me. If any of you guys want to email me, it's KainanBecker@yahoo.com. And I'll respond when I get a chance. But I'm also on all the different social media platforms, either under Ghost Pirate Entertainment or Kainan Becker. So join me over there as well. But until next time, guys, remember, horror can be fun. And I'll see you guys next time.